And more permanent. No, they could be heading late. For a while, I think.
How you like to be?
this time for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Irish American Heritage Center, John Roche.
How about now? John, we good now?
You're good.
Okay, hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Irish American Heritage Center. I knew it was a special day today when I woke up and it was sunny and warm. And also I knew it was a special day because our puppy made breakfast for me. Our new puppy, Finnegan. And finally, when I got to the Irish American Heritage Center this morning, my key worked. So those are three good signs. Special thank you to the Irish Academy of Music, the Irish American Heritage Singers, and to our world champion community dancers. Please also thank our volunteers and staff who have worked so hard to get this place looking so great. And somewhere up there are two janitors that stayed up all night to have this place ready for you today. I'd like to welcome back the Ambassador, the Consul General, Vice Consul with the delegation from Ireland. Also welcome to all of our members and guests. Mayor Kelly is here, our aldermen, and many of our Irish partners in Chicago. You know, this is a special day in Chicago. It's Mother's Day, so I would like all of the mothers, if you would, please stand up. And let's have a round of applause for all the mothers that have joined us today. Thank you for your patience. Finally, are there any children here today? It wouldn't be Mother's Day without children. Could we have all the children stand up, please? These are the future leaders of the Irish American Heritage Center. Okay. How about this young man here? Would you mind coming up here? Where? And where? Where's the young lady? Where? We have a young boy and a young lady. Would you please hustle up here? Come on up here now. Would you like to be a president someday?
My name is Andrew Shevlin.
Would you both read what's written there? Get together.
I am honored to be here this evening. I am pleased to introduce to you the President of Ireland, Michael Higgins, and First Lady Sabina Higgins.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, would you remain standing, please, and join us with the Irish American Heritage Singers in our national anthems. Mr. President, welcome to the Irish American Heritage Center. The podium that we are going to use tonight was built by a volunteer, like a lot of what we do. This is a great place, built with two hands of great volunteers, so we're very honored to have you here. President Michael Higgins is the 9th President of Ireland and took office on the 11th day of November 2011 for a 7-year term. The President is a political scientist and sociologist by profession, and has spent many years as a lecturer in political science and sociology at the National University of Ireland, Galway, and in the United States. He has previously served at every elected level of public life in Ireland, including as Ireland's first Minister of Arts and Culture. President Higgins is a fluent Irish speaker. President Higgins has campaigned for human rights worldwide, and in 1992 was the first recipient of the Sean McBride Peace Prize from the International Peace Bureau in Helsinki. He is a writer and a poet and has published 2 collections of essays and 4 collections of poetry. He is a member of the Royal Irish Academy. In his first year as president, with his initiative Being Young and Irish, he engaged directly with Ireland's young people, asking them for their ideas on how to resolve Ireland's social, political, economic, and cultural issues. This year, in collaboration with Ireland's third-level institutes, the President of Ireland's Ethics Initiative, through a series of over 50 nationwide events, explores the ethical questions and challenges facing Irish and international society. Mr. President, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Bini cor e coche gael sa coche derin gedalchias is min numero gwil manochas ven shagib agus ha me har fe fwyrti vas 14 forge a dar chef romhain is ref ma van kele sai sinte conrad ve in horas marchaton meid chatianta is a toy gobar son it is a great pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you, President, and thank you, Board of Directors, for your invitation to my wife Sabina and me to join you this evening. As President of Ireland, I was very grateful to have the opportunity to be here with you all at the Irish American Heritage Centre. In particular, I want to thank John Crowley-Gorski, who has just introduced me, and those young children and those musicians for your generous words of introduction, and to each and every one of you for the very warm welcome that you have shown to Sabina and I. In an institution called the Irish American Heritage Centre, Chicago, every single word is important. The word Irish, the word American, the combination of the 2 words, a combination of the 2 words of the 3rd word, heritage, or as we would say in Irish, Aireacht, Toshetofelt. Our cultural heritage in all its so many forms is at once at the very heart of our identity. It is a connection for all Irish people, not only to our past, but also to our shared past, but also to our creative present, and to our future that is full of possibilities. When I speak of this in Irish, I speak of na féidirachtaí control, the endless possibilities, and I speak of Irish creativity as an crochiocht atá tábhachtach na Irish. But all of this, as we speak about these words, identity and creativity and future possibilities, we all in Ireland should be deeply grateful to our Irish diaspora, who have worked so long in their new passionately to keep that culture that we share and heritage alive and relevant in their new homes and communities, making it a resource for descendants of so many Irish people who have across the decades had to leave our shores in search of new opportunities and a better future. And that Irish culture has now a global recognition, and it carries, and is part of it, a crucial part of it, an Irish-American contribution that is melded in it as it enhances the name of Ireland everywhere. So I think we must more and more recognize the importance of our migrant existence, and everything we do in life anyway, we are in the end migrants in time, migrants in space, living interdependently. And the ultimate test of our time is how we took care of each other, the hospitality, the welcome for strangers. And I want to thank all of those on this continent who have welcomed and assisted the Irish in any way possible. Because the impact then of the Irish migrant experience and Irish culture, it has been as creative as it has been profound and lasting. And our Irish family abroad have played a vital role in the reinvention of much of that culture. The very act of immigration itself, forcing and remaking and a reimagining of the self, which breathes new life into our many traditional art forms. I don't say this when I was minister, indeed, for arts, culture and theatre between 1993 and 1997. One of my last visits to the United States was in 1996 to the University of St. Thomas, where I spoke about exile and the Irish. And sometimes people thought that the Irish who immigrated, be it pre-famine or post-famine, were immigrating from some kind of tradition into modernity. But they already had to reinvent themselves. Their language replaced forcibly by another language. They then took that language, and of course within a century, won 4 Nobel Prizes in the literature of the new language. In the same way as Derek Walcott would do the same exercise in the Caribbean. So the Irish have been continually reinventing themselves, but we must recognize that it wasn't always without pain. When I came as a young scholar first to Galway, and listening to a woman in the Gaeltacht talking about Irish, and she said, Tiarn gan the language of the poor, and there were those who had to learn English just to simply survive in a new place and to manage. We've dealt with all of these tensions. I say so because they all were enormously creative, and that is why I say we owe so much to our diaspora. And not only did they succeed, but then their next generations, the writers, the artists, the directors, the actors, the performers, people like Michael Flatcliffe, for example, whose parents I remember meeting, drawn from and built into their craft much that was of the essence of what had come of the Irish imagination and inheritance, while at the same time creating new forms and new expressions in every one of the arts. And that has then greatly enriched our contemporary culture. And back it went across the Atlantic and over again as it still does, making the point that cultures have no boundaries, cultures make no judgments, and artistic form, being something of the spirit, is respected everywhere. So I am pleased, therefore, to have this opportunity on my visit to Chicago, to visit one of the most significant Irish cultural organizations in the United States, a vibrant and dynamic facility housed in a once derelict building into which new life has been poured, which was transformed and reimagined to become the Irish American Heritage Center. It stands as a great testament and legacy to its original creators, some of whom, as you have to say, are here today and who have been introduced to me, and others who, while no longer with us, have left us a great legacy, a great gift to the Irish American community here and in Chicago. And this center has been visited by 2 of my predecessors, Presidents Robinson and President McAleese, and I am honored to be here. The institution will shortly celebrate its 30th birthday on Avila, but its beginnings stretch back to the turn of the last century, when the Red Branch Knights were established here in Chicago in 1901. Then it became the Irish Fellowship Club, and many years later one of the main supporters for the funding of this Irish American Heritage Center. The center so is connected to the story of the evolution of the different streams, for there is not one stream, but many streams of Irish migration to Chicago across many decades. I've been aware, as well as a representative and as an academic, of that deep yearning amongst our Rebellites that yearning that exists to maintain their connectedness to their homeland, to celebrate their Irishness and to pass on to their children that deep pride in the culture which formed and shaped their forefathers. I've often talked to artists, including, quite recently, Iarla Leonard, for example, asking about the origin of those great songs that he sings. And of course we agreed that it was always about loss. And there is a wrenching that is involved in the decision to leave some place where you have become intimate. And there is a challenge too. So it is a story we're talking about of how throughout the generations a new Irish-American heritage has emerged here in Chicago. One that has seen the strands of two rich cultures mingling, interacting, and creating something that isn't reducible to either one or the other, but which combines the best of both heritages. It is a reflection of the different versions of Irishness that have evolved throughout our history of migration, forming a rich and complex tapestry of inherited identity. And that is why it is so appropriate for the Irish always to be able to welcome the stranger, to be able to construct their ethics within the frame of hospitality. That one concept that goes across all of the faith systems of our planet. And here in Chicago, many Irish people continue to make their cultural mark, weaving their vibrant Irish heritage into the fabric of their new lives. And in turn, as people do who come to the city, and all those great sociologists of the city, they all started in Chicago. Louis Webber, Robert Park, all those others. But the Irish who came then interacted with writers of the caliber of Ernest Hemingway and Saul Bellow. A city then Chicago is, renowned for its living and thriving music industry, and which houses one of the finest art colleges in the United States. First in the United States, now the art center, and third in the world. And just as we're proud of our unique Irish culture, today we're very proud of the distinctive Irish-American culture, which has evolved through the experiences and history of the many groups of Irish people who have come to Chicago and the Midwest over the past 2 centuries. And because it was never a case, as we have learned, of one culture simply replacing another, culture is a process, something continually being reworked and redefined as we take into ourselves from each other. And today, it is a great reminder to us that culture, beyond all the definitional difficulties, is based on what is shared. And it is uplifting to stand in a center like this, to see its many different rooms and its work, and to recognize and experience the power of culture to transcend both time and space. And although we're 6,000 kilometers from Irish shore, and separated by many years from the first waves of Irish immigrants to this great city, Irish culture has continued to grow and flourish here in Chicago. And that is a testament to the determination and character of successive generations of Irish people and families who've made their new homes here. And it is a privilege to visit this cultural space where our film, our literature, our music, our dance, our drama, and traditions are celebrated, shared, and passed on to future generations of proud Irish Americans. And I have been so impressed by what I've seen here. I could have very easily resigned to a previous period of my life and spent many contented hours in the magnificent library with its thousands of volumes of literature from and about Ireland. And the collection that is in that library is an extraordinary one. It narrates the rich history of the Irish people and the evolution of the Irish-American community through the work of many of our greatest writers. Always on the move, those writers, including James Joyce, Oscar Wilde, Samuel Beckett, Thomas Moore, Lee McGowan, many, many others. Dramatists, novelists, composers, who have contributed so much to our shared legacy. And I was delighted to learn that the library now has a splendid reproduction of the musical anthologies of the man often credited as the person who saved Irish music, namely Chief O'Neill. And of course, very tempted to say a little more about Chief O'Neill, but I'll try and confine myself. Francis O'Neill made an enduring contribution to Irish culture by gathering and publishing the biggest ever collection of Irish music while living and working here in Chicago. A native of County Cork, he immigrated, Skibbereen to be particular. Somebody says I'm not from Cork, I'm from West Cork. He emigrated to Chicago and in 1873 joined the police force, in which he enjoyed a distinguished career, rising to the rank of superintendent. And his is one of the many and perhaps best known stories of an Irish immigrant who made a notable contribution to his new homeland while remaining strongly connected to the culture which defined and shaped his native country. He published 5 books, and of course one of the most famous is the 1001 Dance Tunes, the O'Neill Manual. And it was very, very interesting because there is a great debate about Chief O'Neill, because many of the musicians would have performed in their own parish or in an area locally around it, and the version of a tune would become known. But now here you have people from all over Ireland who are in Chicago, and somebody would say, well, you could know them from the way they played, where they came from. And those arguments broke out as to what was the correct version of a particular tune and so on. And some would say bitterly, decades later, just because they have O'Neill's manual, they think they can play. But Chief O'Neill is very interesting because much of our literature na Gaeilge, the literature of the Irish language and much of its chantas, did not survive the famine. But if the music did and would cross the Atlantic over and back again, is long very much due to people like him. I always want to give credit to his colleague, Sergeant O'Neill from the Northern Ireland. Sergeant O'Neill was the man who wrote it down. You can be as controversial as you like, but it would appear that Chief O'Neill, in fact, gathered all these tunes and lilted them, and then the sergeant wrote it down and so forth. So it is one of those great examples of very early North-South cooperation. At any event, the collection has been described by Nicholas Carroll of the Irish Musical Archive as the largest snapshot ever taken of Irish traditional music. And it is a snapshot that has made Chicago a significant place in the history of Irish culture. We owe Francis O'Neill a great debt of gratitude for initiating one of the greatest works anywhere of cultural retrieval and saving for future generations countless melodies that would otherwise have been lost. And as I've said, there was an extraordinary collaboration between the two O'Neills, between Francis O'Neill from County West Cork and Sergeant O'Neill from County Durham. And I think, as well as this, is that I was most reluctant to leave your fascinating museum, and I could go on and bore you about little aspects of that O'Neill story, but you probably know it better, and you will enrich yourselves by finding it out. I think that in the museum and the library you have a captivating collection of artifacts which serve as such a tangible reminder of the great wealth of creativity that has always characterized the Irish people as they reinvented themselves again and again. Croia, a creativity that allows us to mine our past, understanding through the history of art and design as well as our music and literature the preoccupations and hopes of the generations that have gone before us. And the objects are viewed are an important part of our collective national identity, and they allow our culture and heritage to be enjoyed by the citizens of Chicago, both those of Irish descent and those simply interested. And they grow, those people who are interested in things Irish, grow day by day. I think that it is part of the heritage of fellow citizens whose lives are now lived in this city, but whose history reaches back to towns and villages all across Ireland. No iduscal dinner the museum, station to Mary Robinson. And when Mary Robinson opened that museum, which she came in 1991, it is absolutely wonderful to see it today, and the work that it has done. An obra renishe, agus an cuiine bhfuil sé imeach gan cían, ag leanúnt le láthach an cultúra anseo. cultúr cuid de crílár ar stair córáide é, agus an dótar is fósas dot cían I díra ar fud an dá. And you are contributing to that capacity, that great tribute to the Irish reputation, that sauce that is always added to Ireland's reputation, our cultural heritage. Your centre contributes to that. And that is why Marfurkel Skir concrete to finish. It is so important to recognise something else that is important. That this centre is also a place that recognises the importance of reaching out a hand of friendship, support and solidarity in important advocacy to the many Irish immigrants who are in need of support and assistance as they create new lives for themselves in communities far away from home, and in particular those dependent on legislative change that will enable them to fully participate in the society to which they seek to belong in the fullest sense and to which they are already contributing. So it is so appropriate that the Chicago Irish Immigrant Support Organization has found its home here in Greenlawn, at the very heart of the Irish American community, which is exactly where such an important organization should be. And I was delighted to have just now the opportunity to meet with the board, members, staff, and some of the beneficiaries of its services. And I heard of some of the difficulties our immigrants, both old and new, experience, and of the vital assistance that they receive in this building. I was particularly struck by the experience, as I've said, of the undocumented movement and the enormous shadow. I have been concerned about this for a long time. The shadow, the lack of official status can throw across an individual's life, the vulnerability it can create and that of their family. So we must all continue to hope and work in our different ways so that their situations can be resolved before too much time has passed. And we are very conscious at home in Ireland of the connection we have with our global Irish family. And I am aware that the Irish government and those who accompany me here this evening have been providing assistance, and the Irish government is providing financial support to both the CHS and the CIIS, the Chicago Irish Immigrant Service, and the Irish American Heritage Centre. It is well spent. Your work is important, and it is equally important that it be supported by us at home. And finally, I'd like to thank you all once again for welcoming Sabina here this evening on my second official visit to this country since I entered office on the 11th of November 2011. It has been a most enjoyable experience for us both, meeting all the people we've met since we arrived. And I'm very much looking forward to enjoying some of this evening's cultural performance before and then I must leave you for another engagement later this evening. So I'm confident that our artists both at home and abroad will continue to produce wonderful work and to demonstrate that the Irish creative imagination and remains as vibrant and as original as ever. No matter where our people are, they can be assured, as I've said, that our culture gives voice to that which never takes, but always enhances our reputation all over the world, connects us profoundly to our diaspora around the world, reminds us of the ethical requirement of being migrants in time and space. It is a voice that I have heard loudly and clearly in the Irish American Heritage Centre, and visiting you here this evening has been both inspiring and uplifting. And I thank all those involved with the centre, its staff, volunteers, our active and regular participants, for all you do to keep our culture alive and well in Chicago, for what you do for migrants, and by doing that contribute to the world. Goreg Mila Mahati Galer, Sloan
President Savina, we're glad that you were able to stay with us and enjoy some of the fine cultural performance from our center by the Irish Academy of Music, as well as the Irish American Heritage Singers and the Trinity Dancers. So please enjoy the rest of the evening.
What's the box on the
President, thank you very much for joining us tonight. But before we leave and send you off, let's have our great round of applause for the Academy of Irish Music. Noel Rice, you've done a great job. Noel, I don't know if you step out from behind the curtain. Noel Rice. Thank you, Noel. Paul, Judy Lovey, thank you very much. It's Mother's Day. Thank you for spending your day with us. Ellen Waller, Mark Howard, and the Trinity Dancers, thank you very much. And our wonderful staff at the Irish American Heritage Center who've worked so hard, along with our volunteers, to give us all this wonderful evening. I'd also like to pay special attention tonight as we move from here into the 5th province. Please join us. There are a number of other Irish centers from around the Midwest and the United States here with us, including Kansas City and Cincinnati. Let's welcome them. Just give them a Chicago welcome. And buy them a Chicago hot dog. Okay, Mr. President, on behalf of our thousands of members, our board of directors and officers of the Irish American Heritage Center, our great volunteers, I'd like to present you with a plaque certifying your membership in the Irish American Heritage Center. This plaque, along with the brick that we placed out front of the building, will be a constant reminder of your historic visit and Sabina's visit here today. Your visit is very much appreciated, and I think it sends a message to us and to the Irish American community in the United States that the Irish American Heritage Center is here, and we're flourishing. Thank you very much.
I would just like to leave a little memento, a Celtic cross of journeys and meetings, and people destined to meet will do so, apparently by chance, at precisely the right moment. So here it is, a gift for the imagination.
Thank you, Mr. President. Come back soon. Safe home. Have a nice trip back.